Let's stop for a second and remember where we were 8 years ago. We had the worst financial crisis, the Great Recession, the worst since the 1930s. That was in large part because of tax policies that slashed taxes on the wealthy.
Again, you know, you're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And I think the Community Reinvestment Act, which was pushed through the Clinton, her husband's Clinton era, and it basically loosened mortgage standards and allowed Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae to run amok, and that's what caused the housing crisis. That had a lot more to do with it than the Bush tax cuts. But again, I mean, no. She doesn't get called out. She doesn't get fact-checked at all. Joining us now on the Howie Carr Show is Richard Grenell, and he is an American media commentator. He's a contributor to the Fox News Channel, a former diplomat. He served at the United Nations as the U.S. spokesman, and he's doing a great job with his tweets. Last night he had a lot of very cogent observations about the debate. Richard Grenell, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Howie, thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Well, listen, I see you're a graduate of the JFK School of Government at Harvard University, also known as Camelot High. And not to give you the needle or anything, but did you see the big news coming out of Camelot High today?
I did not. No, what is it?
Jeb Bush is going to be teaching a course there. You know the old joke, that's where you go to learn how to lose elections. I mean, who better than Jeb Bush, right? Congratulations on a big day for your alma mater. Just giving you the needle there, Richard, a little bit. That's all. Couldn't resist.
Listen, I have been a big critic of the Kennedy School. I think that their partisanship is ruining our degrees. So, the idea that they got Jeb Bush, I think, it's a good idea for them to have like a prominent Republican, but it certainly means that Jeb is probably near the end of his career.
Well, you saw him the other night on TV, was driving an Uber, I mean, nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of hard to return to the presidential campaign of 2020 after you've had a job like that. Anyway, Richard, you were tweeting last night about the fact that Hillary Clinton, and this was amazing that she would have the audacity, so many things that it was amazing she would have the audacity to say, but to basically say that everybody in the country, including the entire police of the United States and the entire population, everybody in the country is a racist. And there was no pushback on that from the people covering her campaign.
It was really remarkable. I tweeted about it, and I tried to bring some attention to it because the fact of the matter is the question was, do you think cops are racist? And she went further, and she said, basically, her answer was, not only do I think cops, I think everybody in America is a racist. It was mind-boggling, and we just kind of all moved on from it. But I do think that it's up to Trump to take advantage of some of these opportunities, to turn them into big talking points. And, I'm a Trump fan. I'm on the Trump train, but I was disappointed that he wasn't able to turn these issues that were right there in front of him into major talking points.
Don't you think, though, that he was being cautious, maybe to the point of being overly cautious, because he didn't want to be accused of being a sexist, didn't want to be accused of being a misogynist? I mean, look what happened. I've been mentioning it for the last couple of days. Look what happened to Rick Lazio in the 2000 Senate campaign. He approached Hillary Clinton with the piece of paper and the pen and asked her to sign a pledge not to take dirty money, and they pilloried him for days. I don't think Donald Trump wanted that to happen to him.
That was very unfair what they did to Lazio, especially because she said that she would sign it, and he was walking over to say, "Okay, then prove it." And I thought that whole exchange was very unfair. But it's typical of the Clinton people. They love to be the victim. They love to, how dare you, push a woman, or you're being mean, or whatever that narrative is. They've got very thin skin. and they love to be the victim constantly. I don't know, though. With Trump, I think he was tough, and I think there's a difference between, not going personally, not trying to be offensive personally, but taking the issues that come and turning them around to talk about her 30 years of talk and no action. And I'm hoping that his campaign team can sit him down and say, look, when a subject is brought up, you've got to be able to pound it and bring it home and make it all about the fact that Hillary Clinton, every word that she said last night, she could have implemented every one of those ideas when she was Secretary of State. She talks about working with our allies more, and my reaction was, wait a minute, if we are supposed to be working with our allies more, that presupposes that we're not doing enough, and you were in charge of our diplomacy. You were America's top diplomat. I don't understand why she's not getting the question on Boko Haram. She considered putting Boko Haram on the terror list and then decided against it. And then we found out that Nigerian businessmen were lobbying against it.
Bring back our girls. That's the Nigeria. I'm just explaining it to people who may have forgotten about it, because it has been forgotten by the American media. Yeah, it's in Nigeria. Yeah, that's what you're referring to. How about let me play the sound cut of Trump talking about the 30 years that she's been in politics. Cut 37, please.
And Hillary, I just ask you this. You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now? For 30 years you've been doing it, and now you're just starting to think of solutions.
Yeah. How about when she mentioned solar panels again, Richard Grenell? Solar panels? I mean, give me a break. And she's acting. She's got a big smile on her face, like this is a really brilliant plan that she's come up with. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I thought that her answer on how to create jobs was one of the worst ones. It was the first question she got, and every idea she had was a government program or a government giveaway. I mean, to me, that was the perfect opportunity for Trump to say, every one of your ideas involves the government. You've never worked in the private sector. The private sector creates jobs. Do you not realize that you have no ideas on how to improve the private sector because you've never worked in it? I mean, those are the types of arguments that I think Trump is going to have to make because every one of her ideas, the reason why she's slick, the reason why she's got them all down in a perfect sentence format is because she's been working on talking like this for 30 years.
Yeah, another thing, everything she says when they ask her, what are you going to do? And she says, well, we need a smart trade deals. We need a smart strategy against ISIS. I mean, that's just meaningless pap. She doesn't have any. Just when you say we need smarter, I mean, of course it should be smart. But what exactly is your plan? And again, Trump called her out on that. Cut 36.
Typical politician, all talk, no action, sounds good, doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't even think it sounds that good anymore, Richard Grenell.
You're right. I mean, I also thought that Trump did a good job when he said, ISIS was minuscule when you started off, and now they're in multiple countries. They've grown exponentially, and I think we've got to be able to say to Hillary that she had the opportunity to solve many of these issues diplomatically or through the State Department, and she chose not to. I mean, again, she said last night a big whopper of a lie, and I was trying to bring attention to it by tweeting about it. She said that for 18 months she worked on talking to our allies to get ready to implement Iran sanctions. But the fact is she didn't do anything for 18 months. She's now spinning that she was somehow talking to our allies. But the fact is, for 18 months, her first 18 months in office, she didn't lift a finger on Iran, and Iran got the message that they could do what they wanted and that the sanctions were not going to be a big deal. She set us off on the wrong path with Iran, and then she finished by giving another lie. She said, well, now we have inspections inside Iran to new sites. That is a whopper of a lie. We got rid of the sanctions. We gave them billions of dollars, and we are in the same boat. We cannot have access to the military sites inside Iran because they won't let us, and the new Iran deal doesn't have a mechanism to allow us into those sites.
But Richard Grenell, you know, you're not giving her credit. She flew to 112 countries.
Right. Right. I mean, the idea that traveling around the world, that's a tactic. That's not a success. That's what you do in order to gain a success. That is process. And whenever she's held to account on what did you do, she talks about process. You know, she'll say, oh, I met with these people and I held meetings and I attended this conference and I worked on this. None of that is success. That is all process.
Kerry does the same thing. You know, I'm reminded of the words of the old country song, there's no use running if you're on the wrong road. How about, though, the fact that she said Donald Trump has a cavalier attitude toward nuclear proliferation? You touched on it. I mean, I was, you know, lying on my couch at home, she accuses someone else of having a cavalier attitude towards nuclear proliferation when she was involved with this ending the sanctions against Iran and getting them all the billions of dollars they need. I mean, how can she say this stuff and not get called out on it? It's remarkable.
Yeah, it was remarkable to me that Lester Holt didn't bring up immigration or the Clinton Foundation scandals, Benghazi. I mean, there were so many issues. But, you know, Lester Holt did ask 3 questions on the birtherism issue. It was really, you know, I think that Lester Holt fell prey to the MSNBC crowd who just crucified Matt Lauer for his interview with both of them. And so the only choice that Lester Holt had in order to, you know, survive the NBC, MSNBC mob scene was to beat up on Hillary more than Trump.
Well, he preserved his.
And he did. He didn't disappoint.
Yeah, he preserved his cocktail party invitations next summer in the Hamptons. You know, the beautiful people will still have him to their parties. How do you think Trump will fare? He's got now next time around. He's got two people going up against him: Anderson Cooper and Martha Raddatz. How do you think they'll be any fairer than Lester Holt was?
Well, I know them, both of them. I know Martha Raddatz well, and I think she's an amazing journalist. She will concentrate on foreign policy. She's tough. She's going to give both of them a tough questioning. I don't think that she's intimidated by the fact that Hillary is a woman. She's not going to feel like she can't be too tough. And she does know Hillary's foreign policy weaknesses better than most journalists because Martha concentrates on foreign policy. So I don't think Hillary Clinton is going to be able to get away with just spinning some, you know, flowery language on Iran deal. Lester Holt didn't have any clue of what she was saying when it came to the Iran deal, and she outsmarted him on her foreign policy. That's not going to happen with Martha Raddatz.
Well, he also didn't have very good grasp of domestic issues. I mean, he was all wrong on stop and frisk, as Rudy Giuliani has been, you know, clamoring about on Fox all day, as well he should be. I mean, he said it was unconstitutional. That's just not true, and it's just it's really it was bad. I mean, the American people were not well served last night by Lester Holt.
No, and I do think though that and I agree, but I think that Trump has to be able to turn these issues into his talking points. And I think he's got to do a better job the next time.
Richard Grenell, we appreciate it, you being with us, and you can see Richard on the Fox News channel. He's a contributor, and he's written for many publications as well. Thank you, Richard Grenell. Thanks for being with us. This hour of the Howie Carr Show. Thank you. This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Newton Wellesley Hospital. Call Newton Wellesley Hospital Center for Weight Loss Surgery at 617-243-3724 or go to nwh.org/weight loss. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.